Alright, what is up YouTube? It is K-Rod here, back with another good video today. Sorry that I haven't really been able to post as much on the channel for boxing. I know you guys really do like that. Unfortunately, I came down with coronavirus. I'd say for the past couple weeks. Nothing too serious on my end. Everything has been pretty stable on my behalf. I tried, my best to battle it, and that the virus really didn't bother me, as many would try to say in the media. So I did a pretty good job healing, but the process to go through the recovery stage was very annoying, and I did try to, battle through as much, symptoms that were bothering me. And I mean, the only symptoms that are really left is the cough, but I think the symptoms have really just been over, and it's really nothing that I really, worry so much about. So I'm back in action. Everything is fine. I will be making more content on the regular, but I'm going to start off with a good video of talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to make this topic mainly focused towards Ryan Garcia. As many of you do know, Ryan Garcia had ducked or avoided Gervonta Tank Davis. Obviously, he used the Gervonta Tank Davis fight as a leverage to basically build up his name and try to make it seem like he was going to fight Tank. He said 2 rounds, I'm going to knock Tank out. And unfortunately, Ryan Garcia did not push that fight. He said on Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing podcast, he had Tank on the phone, or, Ellie Sackback, he was there, ESN News or ES News. Ryan Garcia had everyone watching him in the sense of he was really serious about getting that fight going, but unfortunately Ryan, he did not follow through. He made a lot of excuses, and he made it seem like he didn't want to fight Tank, and it was sad. I was thinking Ryan, he was serious at one point, but unfortunately, Ryan Garcia, he's not serious. He's not about that life. And, look, I understand, certain fighters don't want to fight fighters based on their style because, styles make fights, but that still doesn't stop you from fighting the guy. Just because a character in a video game could counter that character, like Goku versus, Vegeta, that doesn't mean that Vegeta is vulnerable all the time to Goku. There's some instances where Vegeta, he can be more powerful than Goku, but his potential as his potential as a character has not been uplifted to the point where he has the higher leverage over Goku. So that's really the biggest problem with Vegeta. Is he willing to take that sacrifice as a character to be better than, Goku? And the issue with that is, the same thing with Ryan Garcia. Is he willing to go beyond his words and be the fighter that we want Ryan Garcia to be? And sadly, I would just say that Ryan Garcia, he does not want to be a good fighter. I just think Ryan, he doesn't have the drive as many people would think about him. And it's really sad that Ryan is not showing me as a fan of his, which, I'm actually losing more respect towards him. So it's really bad that I say that I'm a fan, because it's it kind of makes you look like a target now for all the people that are hardcore fans. But to make this clear, Ryan Garcia has a lot of good talent, and people like Devin Haney, who I really like and I respect, have acknowledged that Ryan Garcia, he is a good fighter, but Devin had spoke the truth to say that the reason why all these other big names at the 135-pound division want to fight you is mainly because you are the you are the weakest link. And the issue is that Ryan Garcia, he doesn't have that type of mindset to think about being a top level fighter. He had all these videos of him stating like, oh, I'm inspired by Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, he made me into the person that I am today. But it's like, okay, but why didn't you have that same energy with Gervonta Tank Davis? Mike Tyson, he was literally pushing for this fight to be made, for Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, and he was basically stating like, okay, are we gonna get this fight going? Because that's really like the only problem that Ryan Garcia is not doing. He's not wanting this fight as bad as he wants to breathe. Because with Errol Spence versus let's just say Keith Thurman, that was a fight that everyone wanted to see, but guess what? That fight never came to fruition because Keith Thurman, he held the fight off way too long, and then once Keith Thurman got injured, everything just fell apart because, Keith Thurman just did not want to give Errol Spence his opportunity, and then Errol Spence was left with no choice but to, go for, go for the IBF against Kell Brook. See, now, the biggest issue with Ryan Garcia is that he does not want to commit his dedication properly to the sport. And I think with Ryan Garcia is that he needs to think a lot more consistent with his career if he wants to be good. And I think that's what will make Ryan Garcia into a better individual. And I truly believe that Ryan Garcia, he needs to switch camps. He needs to get away from Canelo Alvarez. He needs to get away from bitch ass Eddie Reynoso, which I would say Eddie Reynoso, he's not the trainer that I once could actually respect. I think Eddie Reynoso is kind of babying Ryan Garcia in a way where he knows Ryan could fight, but is it like at a level where Ryan is that good of a fighter? And I don't think that's really how it goes down for Ryan, because Ryan is just not at that level where he's actually that good. And I think that Ryan, if he were to, work on more on defense and working on his footwork, his athletic ability, I guarantee you, Ryan, he'll definitely win his fights easier. But he'll have a much better chance against a guy like Teofimo Lopez or even Devin Haney of some sort, or even a Gervonta Tank Davis. I just truly believe that when it comes to Ryan Garcia does not want to put in the work with a dedicated trainer, and he's just using Canelo as a front to just learn from him, and he's kind of just taking pointers from what Canelo has been doing in the past. Oh, I'm going to fight this guy whenever he's not champion, and I can become champion, and then everything will come into my favor, and then, I'm able to get away with what I want to do. And obviously that doesn't make any sense, because it kind of just makes you look like the idiot, and it doesn't make you look any better. I preferably think Ryan should go with a guy like Ronnie Shields. The reason why is because Ryan Garcia, he'll have a better way to make himself well known for his skills and for the division. But if Ryan wants to become good, he really needs to get a fight like that. So, or he needs to get like a trainer like that. I'm sorry. So I think Ryan, if he wants to elevate his game to the next, level, I think that should be like the next step for Ryan Garcia. I personally believe Ryan needs to have better people in his corner. He needs to get away from Oscar De La Hoya. He needs to start, thinking about, the people that he's trusting, especially people that are, in his best interests. I mean, his family's good. Much respect to his father and his mother. Very nice people from my own perception of them. But I think when it comes to people like Oscar De La Hoya, Canelo, Eddie Reynoso, those guys are like the more bigger threats that people need to stop thinking they're good people, because they're not good people. I think when it comes to that type of level, Oscar De La Hoya knows that there is a lot of things that Ryan Garcia could do better in, but it's like Oscar, he's not leading Ryan Garcia to that direction, and I think that's what needs to be fixed with Ryan Garcia. He needs to think a little bit better about what he needs to get done if he wants to make himself a bigger name. But I think either way, if Ryan Garcia, if he could get with a guy like Ronnie Shields, that would be good. I would actually, respect him for that. And it would definitely make Ryan a much better, individual. But I do think for Ryan Garcia, he will be that type of guy where he's not going to change his ways and he's going to keep screwing up. And until he wakes up and starts looking at the mirror of who he is as a fighter, I think he needs to make that move and start thinking about, hey, I need to have a better team around me. I just can't, keep listening to Oscar De La Fishnet or Oscar De La Hoya and expect him to do everything right when this man has treated fighters poorly in the past. At one point, I believe Floyd Mayweather, he was a Golden Boy fighter with Oscar, and Floyd just said, no, dude, I'm out. So that's kind of like how I'm seeing it with Ryan. Ryan is just not being treated properly, and he just needs like a better team. I think his life would definitely be a lot more promising if he were to be, the type of guy to do things a little bit more disciplined. And I think that's what Ryan Garcia tries to think that he wants to do, but he doesn't want to do it because he kind of makes himself vulnerable. But I don't know, it's just something out of Ryan Garcia that makes me wonder, like, what is he thinking every day as a fighter to think that he's going to make a difference in the boxing world? And I would just hope that he could listen to this type of video, because Ryan, you're a good fighter, but my man, you have to switch up your team, man. You have to really think about your career. You got to think about your legacy. And if you want to make your family and make yourself proud as a fighter, I think it's time for you to make things happen, dude. Like, I think Ryan Garcia, he knows what time it is, and it's time for you to shine. You try to make up all this bullshit to say, oh, I'm a champion, Devin Haney's not the real champion, blah blah blah. Then, motherfucker, if he's not the real champion, then fight Devin Haney. I don't care either way. It's just that Ryan Garcia, he doesn't have this competitive drive that many would say he has, but when you look at Ryan Garcia's resume of the fighters that have made him quote unquote great, it's not really good. Like, he's not fighting like ranked opponents. He's not fighting guys in the top 10. Except for Luke Campbell, that was a good win. But, like, I'm not going to see you fight, a guy like Jorge Linares or or even Lomachenko. Lomachenko, is a good example of that, and pretty much showed that Lomachenko, he's way better than most fighters perceive him to be. Even though that he did lose a TO and he did do what he had to do, but it's just that Lomachenko, if Ryan Garcia could beat a guy like that, I would greatly respect him. So that's something that Ryan Garcia has to start doing. He needs to start fighting S level, A level competition, and I think that's what will bring the best out of Ryan. And I think that's where his career will, skyrocket, and he'll be a damn good fighter. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about Ryan. I think he's a very good fighter, and I hope Ryan can get, like a better team, because seeing you roll like this doesn't make me think that it's promising on his end for everyone to get better. So that's pretty much how I see it, and that's pretty much it. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see y'all later. Thank you, and goodbye.